Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the day at the video diary. How's it going today? Today we've had a good day. It's the end of the day. I'm about to head off to bed, and I've not vlogged all day. God damn it! I've been busy though. I've been busy a lot recently, and today has actually been a pretty good day. I've been mostly off for the past couple of days, but today has been good because I had a dilemma to face. I ran a build overnight last night at work, and some of the tests that I'd written, some of my integration tests failed because I was using the integration tests rely on the database, pulling out some information and using that like data profile in order to run a test. Turns out that that data profile doesn't exist. It's a dev, like it's on dev, it's not on the Jenkins box. I don't think we even have like a UAT or anything. But so it's on dev and then it's on the Jenkins box. The same script runs, but it only populates like a little bit, like a subset of the full set of data. So I was trying to pull out like a specific data set and it wasn't coming out, which left me with dilemmas. And this is I think this is quite an interesting question, so I will pose it. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's imagine you have a class which validates data. Weird, I know, tell me about it. You have a class that validates data. It was like crap, like it was absolutely crap. But you need to know that, like, you're going to replace it with something else that hits it exactly the same. So you integration test it, make sure that it does what it's supposed to do, lock down what it does, and then you start writing your new code. And you write your code so that those integration tests pass whether it's the old code or the new code. That's the aim. So, here's the question. Do you, in this scenario, when you're doing an integration test, do you mock the database? Oh, we'll leave that as the last question. Do you, like, get a specific item out of the database? So you figure out an item that's both on dev and Jenkins, and then you get the specific item out of the database. Or do you search for an item that is in the right state, use that each time you run the test, or do you add in the data that you need, take it out once you've finished? The other option is to mock out the database, in which case, let's imagine that your new code, instead of being one thing that you can mock it all on here, like the database connection is only being used by a specific version of this chain. So instead of like the entire validator having access to the database, only the validation chain that cares about the database has that information. So in order to get there, you go through a chain which then goes through a factory which dynamically builds a chain based on the type of validation that you're doing, which then uses the database. So you're 3 levels away. If you want to mock that with normal ways, you'll have to figure out a way of injecting in a mock from the top level all the way down through, which I think is bad because you're making you're allowing something to happen, a design decision for testing based on the design of the original code. You're like lumbering your old code because of, you're lumbering your new code because of a design of the old code, which I think seems backwards. Do you introduce something else, like Powermock, if you are a Java developer, or something like Microsoft Fakes shims, if you're a C# developer, and you know what they are, which is basically the ability to say, for all instances of the database, if you receive this, give me this. So you essentially mock it's a byte level mocking. So it goes into the byte code and like spots attaches. I really like it. It's a divided opinion. You can essentially say any instance of system.file, it's not a static method, but any instance of system.file, don't call the method. Just log that you've called it and return like a default. So that way, no one can ever touch the database. So I can say from up here, without having to inject anything, I can say any instance of a database connection, return this instead. I think that's really good. People don't like it, and the only reason people don't... It's really good, especially when you're testing code that isn't designed to test. And it means that you can test things without like cluttering up your code with things like wrappers which kind of get annoying sometimes. But two downsides. Firstly, for Microsoft Fakes, it runs using things within inside Visual Studio, which costs money. There's also Powermock, I believe, has the ability to do it, but that costs money as well. They're expensive solutions to use this kind of power. But then secondly, because Powermock isn't expensive, it's like free for Java, it's something that could be very easily abused because it doesn't encourage you to design code in a way that's tested. Oh, and also, by the way, the entire chain is fully unit tested. I'm just talking about integration tests. Yeah, the argument against it is if you give people the ability to mock anything they want, then they don't have to design the classes in a way that makes it easy to test and does like different distribution of responsibilities and all this kind of crap. So, my argument was, why don't we use this? And then like that kind of thing you can catch in code reviews, would be my opinion. That's what I would champion. It's not what I did though. In the end, what I did, because it's doing integration tests, it's pulling all of my instances down from the Spring context. So they're all singletons, so there's just one instance of them. So I'm able to, within each test that I need this thing, I pull down the instance of the database that it's going to use, mock a bit of it, use it, and then put it back after, because otherwise everything would then use a mock from that point onwards. So I'm basically deliberately dirtying the context in which we're running the tests in order to fix the tests. That's what I ended up going with. It was like the easiest, quickest win. But it was like a long debate. I like Powermock for instances like this because it's really good at testing legacy code which is badly tested, and I think everything else has downsides. Although there is the argument that if you're doing an integration test without the database as an integration test, I would argue that any at all interaction with testing of the database should be done like on the database layer, and that's it. And you should just test the connection in between these two things. And then this can be all integration tested, and then you stop. This can be integration tested, and then you just test the bridge. So that was an interesting debate that I had with the different people. I was just going around figuring out what people's opinions were, figuring out what the best thing was to do, and what the quickest thing was to do, which is what I did in the end. So yeah, that was interesting. Otherwise I was carrying on with testing, ran a build again, so in the morning, should have finished. I'll be able to figure out what happened there. I just like forged on with more stuff. Like the further down I get now, I'm now like pulling in more database services, so I'm going to use this more. So never know what you think, because I might change tact. Lunchtime was spent programming as per usual. I've like built up the structure now. I'm now going to be building my. I'm kind of like injecting the settings in for the internal test runner that I'm developing. That's going well. I've just been spending a couple of times doing that as well, about like an hour and a half, and I'm like getting to the point where I'm like, I can't, I just said, and I'm like 10 times there. That was ridiculous. Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I need to go to, stop saying that, fuck's sake. Getting to the point where I'm starting to lose the will, and I'm like, fuck off. Losing concentration and stuff, so I'm heading off to bed instead. Alright, after work I came home. I was quite late coming home as well because there was some kind of roadworks going on the main road, and it was ridiculous traffic. Like it literally took me 20 minutes to do something that's a 5-minute walk. It was terrible. Got home a bit later than normal, and then I sorted out my daily vlog, sorted out video description and comments and all that kind of stuff. Came into here and cooked some chilli, so we did a chilli batch. Always like cooking chilli. Laura came home, we carried on cooking, having a chill wag about a day and all that kind of stuff. Made our sandwiches, had dinner, and then Beth and Ben came around. Had a lot to chat about with Beth and Ben. Some stuff's going on with Beth and stuff, which is like quite alarming today. I don't think she'll mind me saying here. She started working recently they both work. Ben works for a relatively big, pretty fucking big company in Bristol, and Beth works for a startup in Bath, and she went there today, and they said like, you collect your things and like go. The bank are coming. We've gone bust. Like, and she had literally no idea. Yesterday everything was fine. They were like signing contracts to sell things, like crazy orders and stuff, and then just like, no, we're just folding up, which is mental. And that was like, well, it's not the reason she came over, but we literally like spent 2 hours chatting about like why, and then Ben was going to like company's house to find all information about it. It's like, it's one of the things where you kind of got to laugh. You like, you don't ever consider it's going to happen. Obviously, like, you should pay attention to that kind of thing. Use this as advice, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go and work for a startup, look at their figures. Like, be aware of the fact that it could just suddenly go back. But it's not. It's been around for 9 years, and then it's went, no, crazy shit. So that was really interesting. I got grilled on my plans and stuff. Things that I'm working on, specifically like my project. Ben's like basically slapping some sense into me, and I've got a lot of things to think about. Vis-a-vis timings and stuff like that, money, timings, etc. I literally got drilled for ages, and then we talked about the reason they even came here was to plan what we're doing for New Year, because we're all 4 of us are having like New Year in Bristol for the first time, away from like home, and we're going to go into like the fireworks and have a meal and stuff. And then we're also planning a Christmas takeaway, which is going to be great too. They went off home. Laura went to bed after a little bit, and I've been sat programming. Yeah, it's something that I kind of want to talk about as well, what they've let me think about, because it's quite important, but it's something that's quite difficult to talk about. It's basically with reference of at what point do I go, alright, I'm going to start trying to do my company full time and just throw time at it. Like, how much is doing it part time holding me back from doing it, and if it takes too long to do, will I get to a point where I don't do it anymore? Like they say, don't they, that if you're going to start a company, leave university, start a company then, when you've got the least to lose. And that's basically what it was grilling about. Like, Ben's just like, just do it, just fucking do it. Like, what's stopping you do it? It's money is part of the thing, of the sense that we've got to live off. The main thing is, here's the thing, if I didn't have Laura and I left university, what I would have done, I wouldn't have got a job. I would have gone, lived with Dad, reduced my costs, my living costs to next to nothing, worked part-time in a supermarket for like spending money, and then just poured time into programming. I just poured time into getting it done. But because of Laura, and this isn't a bad thing, but because of Laura, we spend time like together and stuff. We obviously have this flat together, which we both pay for. We both pay for all the bills and all this kind of stuff. So I have different responsibilities. So I have a job. My original idea was continue to work the crazy hours I currently work, get this thing doable, and then when I get to the point where I can sell it, I then like go full time, because I'll have to. I would not be able to. But how much of that is holding me back? I don't know. There's lots of things I should consider, lots of things I don't really know. So I need to do some planning and stuff. So, because it makes sense. Everything they said to it, it's one of them annoying things where like everything you say to me makes sense. I just don't. Essentially, I don't want to hear it because I know it makes sense. But I want to. My entire plan the whole time was earn money, full-time job, part-time, earn money, bankroll it. As soon as I've got enough money in savings, I can just go, right, okay, now I'm going to spend 6 months working on this, try and do something. If I can't, then I can't. But does that make sense? Does it just make sense to just go for it now, and it be tougher now, but get more out of it at the end? I don't know. I just don't know. So that's what I'm considering. It's something that I kind of want to talk about. I kind of have just talked about it, but there are like things that obviously get in the way because I'm talking about things that are quite important. But it's something that I'm going to see what I can plan about, and I'll let you know when I'm obviously doing stuff. but I don't know. Here's the short answer. It was irritating. It's because like Ben's just like, look, you just need to do it, and everyone, all three of them are just like, just do it, just do it. And I'm like, it's all very well and good saying this, but like, are we okay? And what I don't want to do, here's a key thing, is I don't want to do, or I don't want to rely on getting investment, because I don't want to start a company to sell the company. I want to start a company because I like doing what I want to do it, make money doing it, and then build up a company and build up a reputation, not build a company. I don't have the kind of product where I can build up a company and then sell it to someone. I mean, my exit strategy would be to let someone like Microsoft buy me. That's it. Like, that's as good as it gets. And to be fair, that'd be pretty fucking good. But that's not my aim. My aim isn't to just sell it off to Microsoft and build a new company. So, the problem with getting investors is investors want like to make 10 times their money in the next 5 years. So they push you to make decisions that you wouldn't otherwise do. But yeah, so that's playing on the back of my mind. But we'll not talk about it anymore. I put it at the end of this video because only certain people will watch it. Right, okay, I'm going to head off to bed. Partially because I'm hopping from foot to foot because I need to go to the toilet. Tomorrow, Friday, go to the gym. Another day programming. Working hard. Usual shit. I'll catch you later.